Okay, when I think about my body and what my body legacy is, most of it is overshadowed by my hand. I was born with this hand, just as a baby, and I probably for the first half of my life struggled to be in this body because of the hand. I was born with two fingers. It's a shorter hand. It's very different. And children can be incredibly cruel when you're different in any way, right? So I think a lot of people, and these things came up as well, a lot of people, when they think about their body, will think about their skin color, their body size, their body shape, maybe their teeth, their hair, etc. All of those things have come up in my life, but they have been very much minimalized by the struggle that I experienced accepting my hand. So I remember as early as I started to like boys, which as a kid I was predominantly a hetero-minded person, so I started liking boys. Probably when I was in 3rd grade, I had a crush on a boy that lasted for a long time. I remember one time we were playing out in the playground, and he told me, he's like, "Don't touch me with that hand, like, ew, it's disgusting." And stuff like that really broke my heart. It broke my heart, it broke my spirit, and made me not want to live, right? And I remember as a middle school student and as a high school student, I started to hide my hand. I started to feel like every time I walked into the room, people were staring at me or talking about me. Sometimes it was true, and sometimes it was my mind telling me that that was happening. But so as an adolescent and as a young teenager, it really shook me to my core. It made me feel like unwanted, unloved, and really just kind of made me feel like I didn't want to live because of it. So my mom was my biggest supporter during that time. She loved me through it. She heard me cry and be upset about it. And I think it wasn't until I graduated, I still was, I was slowly trying to love my body as people kept telling me to do, but really I just felt like they didn't understand. They couldn't possibly understand how it felt to be this different. And so it wasn't until I got to Princeton that I said to myself, like, either you can go on hating yourself and hating your body, or you can start to love yourself and be who you are and let everyone else kind of just deal with their own judgments and not internalize them. And I think it was at that point that I decided I don't want to hide my hand anymore. Like I started to, wear different clothes, just be more kind of at ease with my body. And I'm not saying that I don't have those feelings of insecurity anymore, but it was that moment where I said to myself, I cannot live my life for other people. I must live this life for myself. I must love this body as it is. Otherwise, as someone always tells you, no one else will love this body, right? And so from then on, it's like nothing else could really mess with me, right? Like, it didn't matter that I was this poor little Chicana, Tejana from San Antonio that had no money in this private elite institution. It didn't matter to me that I was, a brown woman in the world that had, at every level people had, these judgments of me. Like, yes, I fought, for, my right to be there, my right to have community, and then afterwards, to create community and support my community. But it was like a frontier that if I knew I could, if I knew I could love myself through that, I knew I could continue the rest of my life, right? I could overcome the rest of the challenges that I had. So even though, my family was the darkest skinned and there was light skin privilege, especially in my mom's side of the family, like the lighter skinned folks were more loved and treated well. That's still true today. Like, and it's bothersome, but it's kind of like I just let that be there their own struggle and their own thing that they need to work through, and not mine. And again, I think overcoming my own body struggle, right? Because besides the hand, of course, I've always been more of a woman of size than, you know, the socially constructed thin woman. And so, you know, that was something that I had to encompass and embrace as well. But it just felt easier and easier. And it's funny because a lot of people look at me and think, oh, she's a strong person, you know. I very strongly identify with my fierce identity. And I think that fierce identity comes from not giving a shit, right? Not caring about what people think, but caring about what I think and what I love and what I'm committed to. And I think that that's basically one of, you know, young people's and adults' biggest challenges is learning not to internalize everybody else's, you know, limited expectations, hatred, negative attitudes, etc. And so I think I'm finally at a place where I'm really rejecting all that negativity and all of the hatred and anger that people put out, and really just sustaining my own internal peace, my own internal love. And that's where I want to focus on for the next, I don't know how many years.